Kia ora mai anō and welcome to another episode of Playmakers. My guest today will be facing Kelvin Gastelum at the next UFC Fight Night on April 18th. He is the former UFC middleweight champion and is currently ranked #1 in that division. Joining me today is Aotearoa-born Robert Whittaker. Kia ora e hoa.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Hey, before we get this kōrero underway, give us a little lowdown on that chair that you're sitting in right now. I don't think I've ever sat down with someone in the gaming mode. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, no. So everyone knows gaming is a big part of who I am. So and there's a gaming chair, Fallout, and one of my passions. So it's this is my little setup.
Nice, your little, looks like a blue throne there. Fits you just right. Now, getting into the matter at hand, Rob, you were supposed to be facing Paul Gallen in this fight. That wasn't to be because he fell ill, obviously. And so now you prepare to face Kelvin Gastelum again. So, I mean, how have you approached this second opportunity to face Kelvin?
Fortunately for us, we were scheduled the fight before, so I'm very familiar with how he fights, and we have some strategies mapped out already. And another benefit is that I've fought a lot of southpaws, especially like Darren Till recently. So making the switch wasn't too much. We still had a month. Well, from when we found out, we had a month of work we could still put in and organise, so it wasn't too bad.
In the bigger scheme of things, obviously, Paul Gallen's ranked #2 and Kelvin is #8. Does that give you any added pressure for a W in that instance?
Not really, because being #1, generally until I'm fighting Izzy, I guess everyone is below me. So there's always that added pressure. I guess it adds an additional dangerous element to the fight because Kelvin has nothing to lose.
Yeah, that's right. Well, see, that's probably a little bit of, what you would be looking out for in terms of that pressure. But there's so much history between you both. You were both Ultimate Fighter coaches, and of course you've mentioned you'd prepared a camp to face him. You know him probably more deeply than any other opponent that you've prepared for. So does that work to your advantage? In some ways, because I can take the fight where I wanted to. Like I said, we had game plans organised for him, so I was able to adjust and adapt like that. But I guess honestly, we're going to have to just wait to see what happens on the night. Yeah, that's true. And as you mentioned, he's coming off, a fight that probably, wasn't the result that he would have wanted. So he will be looking for that chance against you. Now, look, from 2014 to now, you've only had one defeat. It's actually, a very impressive record that you've had in your UFC career. After that defeat, though, how did you change your approach moving forward?
I had to organise, I guess, the balance in my life a little more. I was mentally very burnt out from the game and from fighting and training, and I needed to adjust that. I needed to adjust why I was burnt out and how can I prevent it and avoid it, moving on. And I feel like I've struck a really, really good balance with my life. I'm much happier with how I do things. I enjoy the process a lot more, and I've never been better.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've actually really admired about you saying. I mean, it's one thing to go through it, and it's one thing for you to recognise, those kind of adjustments that you've had to make in your life aside from MMA, but it is another to come out and talk about it. So why was it important for you, to let fans know that you were going through this and that you're coming out the other side?
I guess my biggest thing has always been just to be real to myself and just to be real. It's I'm just like everybody else, just a particular skill set people like watching. And I think a lot of people can just draw from my experiences and take something from it, especially I feel like it's a bit of a responsibility for me because of the spotlight that I receive and because of the platform that I have.
Yeah. And you've even been quoted in saying that every fight changes you. So after every fight, there's something added to your basket, I suppose. So of your most recent fights, how have you adapted or modified your game, seeing as it does change you?
It's hard to say because a lot of the changes are subtle. But certainly my coaches and I can break down our fights, and we can adjust things technically. But I guess the biggest thing that I noticed is just that my experience and my instincts and my reaction speed and my comfortability in there, in the atmosphere of combat it just gets a little better. I just feel a little bit more at home.
Mm. And how are you feeling? I mean, I know you were struck with, illness yourself and, a couple of injuries. So how are you feeling as a whole now going into this fight?
Top of the world.
That is good to hear. Now, your last fight, you defeated Jared Cannonier, where I thought there was a lot of people out there already slating his fight with Israel after you. And obviously you proved those doubters wrong, and you've mentioned Izzy's name. But is a title fight, another goal for you?
It's a goal, certainly, but it's one of those things where I'm just going to have to bide my time and wait to see when that fight happens. But I can't make any predictions or look to the future past Kelvin. He's too dangerous of an opponent, and I need to just have my focus set on him.
We've seen Kelvin Gastelum go through some wars himself. You've gone through wars yourself also, but what are the things that you're looking for him in terms of his style this fight?
I think he's got some very real power and some forward pressure. He's got a wrestling game that he likes to mix in with it. But I think I'm going to be too much for him. I think I'm going to be too fast. I think I can pick him apart from the outside. And if he brings it inside, I think I'm going to be too much. I think I'm going to be able to dance with him. So we'll have to wait and see, though, because who shows up on the night and how things play out, no one can guess.
Yeah, that's very true. Now, talking about being fast yourself, you've done a bit of training with Tim Tszyu, I saw in the media leading up to both your fights. I'm wondering if you were, tuning into that card, what you made of that fight and your sparring with him.
Yeah, it was a wonderful fight. He looked unbelievable. I had that vibe and that feeling going into it. Obviously, doing a bit of work with him, it was I could see how good he was and how ready he was, and then to see it play out the way I thought it would was it was really good.
Was boxing something that you were making a conscious effort on refining this camp?
Yeah, definitely. I think I try to refine all my skill sets, but I think boxing was a good one for Costa, and then it's certainly very good for Kelvin too. So it was I had a lot of good work, and it was great to have that resource there.
Now, a little left field with this question, but after Paul Gallen fought Mark Hunt, he obviously mentioned your name as a potential future opponent. Wondering how you took that, and obviously right now in the UFC that may not be a reality, but how did you take that?
Yeah, good. It's if he wants to fight, I'm in the game, I'm in the industry, as long as the money's all right, and I already get paid to fight, so there's no shortage of fights for me.
Yeah, well, if Tim Tszyu's feedback was anything to go by, he'd have to have a lot of things to worry about in terms of your boxing. Look, in terms of New Zealand, Eugene Behrman, Israel's coach, has come out and said that, in the future in the cards, possible fight between you and Israel here in New Zealand is something they would be very interested in. And I think you've been asked this before, but would you be, inclined to come back to New Zealand and have that battle with Israel here in Aotearoa?
And certainly, it's I loved fighting in New Zealand last time, and I'll always jump at the opportunity to fight at home.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. Thank you so much, Robert. Thank you so much for your time, and all the very best against Galvin. We will be watching.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Cool. So, whānau, we will be able to see Robert Whittaker in action, putting those boxing skills to the test against Kelvin Gastelum on April 18th, and you can watch all the action here live on ESPN.